So I'm going to use all of the basic things in the phone without ND filters. I'm not going to do any clever tricks. The only thing I'm going to be using is a wireless mic. At the moment it's on the best lens there is in HDR 10, 4K, 30 frames a second in the video mode. For photos it's really good. The focusing is amazing and the blur that it applies is really good. Sometimes it gets it wrong, but then in post you can just press where you want to put your focus, which is great, and it can reanalyze where to put the fake bokeh. Slow motion is cool. It's got 4K up to 120 frames a second, 60 frames a second 4K in HDR 10. I'm going to do a little film as well to show how it can look. You can have a higher bit rate when you choose video and pro video mode, but it won't do in the portrait mode. In the video mode and the portrait mode, you can't do 24 frames a second or 25 frames a second. I know it's not the best thing to change up frame rates. Obviously, ideally, I should have done the whole thing 24, but then I wouldn't be able to test out the portrait modes. So the iPhone 15 Pro Max and Pro, they have really good shift in auto exposure. Really subtle, really smooth, but not with the Samsung. I don't know if it's software thing they need to update, or they can update, or they're going to update, but we'll see. So this is now the 5x telephoto, just in a video mode. So I could do HDR 10, which you can't do in portrait mode. And this gives you a real idea of what the optics are like, you know, without that fake bokeh. I mean, this is why they had to introduce AI to things nowadays, because you can't beat the optics and the physics behind the tiny sensors and the tiny lenses. You just can't. I mean, it's still impressive what the phones can do.
Well, what?
You know what? Well,
No.
don't play silly buggers.
I wouldn't be asking if I knew what you meant by well.
Are you on Team Samsung or iPhone? You silly sausage.
How that will?
Oh, we know your history. Best part of a decade. It was an iPhone, man. Then you had the S24 ULTRA. That's right. We know our stuff.
Okay, well, after the S21 and time to upgrade, I was sure I was gonna go back to Apple. So I did get the iPhone 15 Pro. In terms of cameras, I think it wins. It's more dynamic. Focusing is better. The fake bokeh is better.
I agree. Cinematic mode is much better than a portrait mode.
You'd think, being a filmmaker, maybe I would go that way. But the phone itself, it just felt like the past. I mean, Samsung make the screens for iPhone. They don't give them the best ones. They keep that for themselves. Didn't match even my S21.
Oh, look, cat.
It wasn't an easy decision.
It's a shame about rivalry, but it probably always exists. Till way.
The S24 ULTRA. Now that felt like an upgrade. To sit at Samsung.
Welcome to the team. Congratulations. Silly sausage.
I'm going to film a little scene here. It's an abandoned hotel, restaurant, and bar, which is actually, you can imagine how nice it would have been. I'm guessing it was probably a COVID thing. I mean, it kind of, the paintwork is so crusty that it looks more than 4 years. Hopefully there's no one keep checking up on this place for health and safety or whatever. So I'm going to try and get this done as quickly as possible. But what I want to film is a little scene, like a movie scene. Obviously I'm quite restricted in terms of movements of camera, so they're all going to be static unless I can do some kind of selfie stick kind of movement shots following me. There's old people who are quite interested in it as well. They've been wandering around. I can see them stopping. They saw me stop here, and then they thought, oh, I'll wait for him to go. Now they're going to check it out. So basically I want to do a sequence, 2 people. I'm trying to think of characters for them, and I was trying to think all morning what I should do. But the main theme of it's going to be about Samsung and Apple, and being an iPhone user for many years to then coming to Samsung, and why would I do that, and what do I think of the new Galaxy S24 ULTRA, because they're the main competitors and rivals, and that seems to get a lot of attention as well when people film stuff about phones, because everybody has one and they're the top ranking phones at the moment. So, and they've always been competing. Well, what side are you on, kind of thing. And it's like, well, I can't really answer that straight away. I have to think about it.
Why? I need an answer now, because if I don't have one today, it's going to be a problem.
Hopefully the battery will last. I mean, I've gone out with 50% a lot on this phone, and I've done a lot of filming, a lot of pictures, and it only just started to die. The most difficult part of this is because there's 2 characters and I'm playing both. I'm going to have one wide angle where I split the screen, and I have to do those shots quite quickly before the lighting changes too much. The rest of it is going to be like on an angle, one on the one left side of the screen looking right, and the other one on the right side of the screen looking left, at such an angle that they're not even going to have their shoulders dropped into the shot. So that's how I'm going to play it out. The thing I'm going to have to remember is the dialogue of kind of what I said. Yes, I'm going to get on with that. Okay, so I'm on the max blur now, which is number 7. So this is where it's really testing it in terms of how good and accurate the fake bokeh is. So yesterday I did that film, and I did a couple of characters, completely random. I don't know why I did the American accent, and it wasn't a very good one, which is very strange because I was thinking from the apartment, the villa, yesterday morning. I was thinking, what shall I film? I mean, I can't just film me walking. Okay, so 2 people meet up, and he wants to know what team he's on. Is he on the iPhone team or the Samsung team? But then I thought, okay, what's the dialogue there? How can I turn it into initial, quite cool Miami Vice-esque type thing. I was noticing when I was doing it, there was looking back at things. The framing was a bit of a nightmare to start with because you can't see. I mean, what would be very nice is Samsung just had a little, maybe half of the back had a screen on it. I know you can get monitors and things like that externally, but I think the fact is the whole point of filming a phone is for usability, just for being very free and just being able to, because it is so freeing filming on a phone. And also the fact is it needs an ND filter. So, and I know you can buy third-party things that you can snap on the lenses. I think that's what you might have to incorporate if you want to get the best out of the phone. But I was always against that idea because I thought, no, because then I might as well use a pro camera if I'm going to have to start rigging it up and doing all that stuff. You know, you just use what's in the camera. So that's what I did yesterday. I didn't do anything other than I did portrait modes, I did the normal optic modes, which was just normal video, but they're all 30 frames a second, but I've put them in a 24 frame timeline. I used Rode mics, wireless mics, obviously, because I won't be able to use the camera stand because of the heavy winds here and I'm quite far away from the camera. It's nice and convenient because you can just use USB-C straight into the Samsung, just like you can on your iPhones now, because since they've changed out from their lightning ports. So anyway, how's it looking? Has my nose disappeared? Has my glasses disappeared? I keep harping on about the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max being actually better, having better cameras. Obviously they've got Apple Pro Rares and things like that, but it's not extremely practical. The size of them are huge, huge files. And it's still going to be way better on my Pro camera, which is way more smaller files and more usable files. Still terrible in low light. The optics are not great, obviously, because they're tiny little lenses. I am starving. I want to go get something to eat. I think I'm going to go for dinner in the Beach Bar restaurant. I've been living off bread and some eggs. And crisps, and chocolate and Nutella. So this is me on a selfie stick. So this is the front-facing camera doing its own stabilization, really. There's no micro jitters that I can see. It looks quite nice. And this is just portrait mode. So this isn't even the HDR. And it looks very vibrant and well lit. Quite impressed. And it is a nice effect with the portrait mode. See, it can do a good job. It can do a good job. And you know what? The front-facing camera, I think, is probably the most important lens, because I think most people use their phones for just quick selfie things. Quick, convenient, easy stuff. You can't beat a phone, full stop. I'm very impressed with the S24 ULTRA. It's not a cheap phone. It's pitched as the best phone on the planet, with its rival being the iPhone 15 Pro Max, arguably the better phone. It really comes down to, no, I don't really want to do this video to say whether you should get this phone or an iPhone. I'm just giving my experiences on how I feel, and also I'm trying to enjoy the phone and see what you can do for anything that I might use for fun. To be honest, what are you going to do with most of the footage anyway? You're going to whack it on social media. The aesthetic is the most important thing. Very dark here, but there's a lot of street lights, so there is some lighting. It's a good test. So welcome to my low light test. As you can see, it's very dark. With my eyes, I can just about see everything, but it's not a well-lit area. So I don't expect miracles from this at all. So the lens I'm using is a 1x, which is the best one for low light, 1.7 f-stop. The background lights I'm sure it's picking those up quite nicely. But how well lit am I artificially? Because is it doing something clever there? I'm not going to be doing any filming at night, just this. So I'm currently testing out the 8K. I haven't really used it very much. It's quite a dynamic image and it's very sharp, obviously. You're getting a hell of a lot of resolution there for cropping and things like that. But when you are going to compress it down and use it on YouTube or whatever you're going to use it for, you're going to lose a lot of that value and you're going to gain more dynamic range in the 4K image, I found with the 30 frames a second. But it still looks incredible, and you know, you're future-proofing there. When we do get 8K TVs that are more affordable to the average person, you're going to have 8K good to go, you know. Yes, passport's ready. Completely faded. I've got about 3 months left on it. But yeah, does it look a bit odd me wearing nearly fully dressed on the beach? Yeah. Anyway, cheers.